Streaming is on. You're doing? No. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nastiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text number 11. Vadanti tat tattva vidastattvam yajnanam advayam brahmedi paramatmeti Bhagavan nidhi sabdayate. Vadanti tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmedi paramatmeti Bhagavan iti sabdayate. Vadanti tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmedi paramatmeti Bhagavan iti sabdayate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. Please repeat the translation. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. Purport. The absolute truth is both subject and object, and there is no qualitative difference there. Therefore, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan are qualitatively one and the same. The same substance is realized as impersonal Brahman by the students of the Upanishads, as localized Paramatma by the Hiranyagarbhas or the yogis, and the Bhagavan by the devotees. In other words, Bhagavan or the personality of Godhead is the last word of the absolute truth. Paramatma is the partial representation of the personality of Godhead, and impersonal Brahman is the glowing effulgence of the personality of Godhead. As the sun rays are to the sun god, less intelligent students of either of the above schools sometimes argue in favor of their own respective realization. But those who are perfect seers of the absolute truth know well that the above three features of the absolute truth are different perspective, views seen from different angles of vision. As it is explained in the first shloka of the first chapter of the Bhagavatam, the Supreme Truth is self-sufficient, cognizant, and free from the illusion of relativity. In the relative world, the knower is different from the known. But in the absolute truth, the knower and the known are one and the same thing. In the relative world, the knower is the living spirit of superior energy, whereas the known is inert matter or inferior energy. Therefore, there is a duality of inferior and superior energy, whereas in the absolute realm, the knower and the known are of the same superior energy. There are three kinds of energies of the Supreme Energetic. There is no difference between the energy and energetic, but there is a difference of quality of energies. The absolute realm and the living entities are of the same superior energy, but the material world is inferior energy. The living being in contact with the inferior energy is illusioned, thinking he belongs to the inferior energy. Therefore, there is the sense of relativity in the material world. In the absolute, there is no such sense of difference between the knower and the known, and therefore everything there is absolute. Thus is the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanajalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nidinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhasha Dadeshadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Jai Shri Prabhupada. So we're reading this verse, very important verse. Prabhupada quotes many times. As a continuation of the previous verse, Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa. Human life is meant for Tattva Jigyasa, and what is the Tattva? And that has been explained here. That Vadanti Tattva Vidas Tattvam Yajnana Madhvayam. They say, who say? Vadanti means they speaking, they say. Who? Tattva Vidaha. Those who know the Tattva. What they say about Tattva? Tattva Vida means the learned souls, or those who know the Tattva. They explains about Tattva is the Tattvam Yajnanam, the knowledge of the Tattva is, it is Advayam. It is non-dual. And it can be understood in three features: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaneti, Shabdayate. So this Tattva, the absolute truth, is non-dual substance. What it means, non-dual substance? Prabhupada explains here. The absolute truth is both subject and object, and there is no qualitative difference there. So this is Advayam. Advayam means non-dual. There are no two. Everything is just one. So in the relative world, the knower is different than the known. Kshetra and Kshetragya. Kshetragya is different and Kshetra is different. Who is the Kshetragya? Soul. We as a soul. And what is the Kshetra? This body and the world, material world. So that two different things. You are different, which is the knower, and the known is different. But in the absolute truth, both the knower and the known are one and the same thing. So here you see in this material world, in the relative truth, knower is the living spirit or superior energy, and known is the inert matter or inferior energy. And there is always a duality. One is inferior, one is superior. But in the absolute realm, the knower and the known are of the same superior energy. So in the spiritual world, there is nothing like body is different and the soul is different. Everything is absolute. Everything is spirit there. So it's not like that when we talk about Krishna, Krishna's body and Krishna's soul. No, it is absolute. It is all spiritual. There is nothing matter there. So this is what is the Tattva is. Tattva means there is no difference. It is Advaya Gyan, non-dual substance. Right. So like that we understand. So Chaitanya Charitamrita also explains, Deha Dehi Vibhagoyam Naishwara Vidyate Kvachit. Deha Dehi Vibhago Ayam. This division of Deha and Dehi. Deha means the body, and Dehi means the occupier of the body, the soul. So this Vibhag, this division, na Ishware Vidyate Kochit. And the Ishwar, in the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Supreme Lord, na Vidyate Kochit. It does not exist, this division, because everything is absolute truth there. So this is non-dual substance. Vadanti tat tadvidas tattvam yaj jnanam advayam. This is advaya jnana. This is very important to understand. Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's pastime, Krishna's paraphernalia, everything is absolute. There's no difference. Right, the famous verse. What is that verse? Abhinnatvam nama namino. How does it start? Anybody remembers? Nama Chintamani, Krishna's Chaitanya Ras Vigraha, Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto, Abhinnatvam Nama Namino. So there is no difference between Abhinnatvam, Nam and Nami. Krishna's name and Krishna himself. There is no difference. Prabhupada explains that. Like in this material world, the object is different and the name is different. Like example is the water. The name water and the substance water. They're two different things. This is Dvaya Gyan. Just by saying water, 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 it doesn't quench your thirst. But in the spiritual world, it is Advaya. There's no difference. They're one and the same. So, this absolute truth is that, which is Advaya, number one. And that absolute truth can be understood in three different features. What are the features? Three different features. Brahmeti, Paramatma, and then Bhagwan. So we all are quite familiar with this concept, but we'll just read and understand a little bit. Okay. So here it is said, empiric philosopher who pursues the impersonal Brahman accept only the knowledge that the personality of the living entity is not different from the personality of the Supreme Lord. So these are all impersonalists, the Brahman. That you are non-different, you will go and merge into Brahman. So these are all impersonalists, the philosopher, empiric philosopher, are also known as the Gyanis. The Gyanis pursue this path. Their goal is that ultimately you are God, you will go and merge into that Supreme Brahman. That is their goal. Right. Then second category is all these yogis. So the Gyanis, they are impersonalist. They want to merge into Brahman. Second category of transcendentalists, the yogis, the mystic yogis. They try to locate the Paramatma and accept only the knowledge that the pure soul is not different from the super soul. So this is the yogis. They understand that okay, our goal is Paramatma and the pure soul is not different from the super soul. That is their understanding. And the absolute conception of a pure devotee, however, includes all others. So let us understand this a little bit, one by one. So what is this Brahman? So Brahman are those who are trying to approach the absolute truth by exercise of the senses. They can reach up to the point of impersonal Brahman. They are all Gyanis, impersonalists, or Mayavadis. Those people. So their understanding is ultimately the absolute truth is that Brahman effulgence. Everything is coming from there. That is their understanding. Yasya prabha prabhato jagadanda koti. Koti aseshu vishuddhati vibhuti binnam. So they say that everything is prabha prabhavato. Everything is coming from this prabha. Prabha means the effulgence. That is the source of everything. That is their understanding. But it's an impartial understanding. Right? We understand that this effulgence, this Brahman effulgence is what? Is the effulgence of whom? Is the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Lord. Right. So that is not the absolute truth. There is something beyond that absolute truth. And it is confirmed in the scriptures in so many places. Even in the Ishopanishad also this famous verse. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tattvam pushan apavranu satya dharmaya drishyade. So there the devotee is praying, "O my Lord, sustainer of all the lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee." So we understand from the scriptures that this Brahman effulgence is, Krishna is the source of this. It's a bodily effulgence of the Supreme Lord. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita also. Anybody remembers what is the verse? Okay, just to give you the hint, it is in the 14th chapter. That the dazzling effulgence of his personal form, it has been explained as Brahmano hi pratisthaham amratasya avyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukasya ekantikasya cha. So what Krishna says there, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So Krishna is saying this impersonal Brahman, whom this Gyanis are pursuing and want to merge into that impersonal Brahman, Krishna says, I am the basis of that impersonal Brahman. Right. So this is the Brahman, and this Gyanis want to reach there. And say that Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. That everything is coming from the Brahman. That's correct. But there is impartial understanding from where the Brahman is coming. Even Krishna says that I am Sarvasya Prabhava, everything is coming out from me. And then Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma, everything is coming from Brahman. But this Gyanis, they miss out the understanding that Brahman is the bodily effulgence. The basis of Brahman is the Supreme Lord Krishna. So they make the Brahman as their goal. But for devotee, this merging into Brahman is considered as, Prabodhananda Saraswati says something. Devotee considered going to Brahman as equal to going to hell. Kavalyam narakayate. So the devotees considered this Kavalyam, this merging into Brahman, is as good as going to hell. Right. Where you try to diminish your individuality and miss out the chance, the opportunity to engage in the loving devotional service of the Lord. So devotees, they think this is going to hell. We don't want to go to this merging into Brahman. And also it is confirmed by Brahmaji. It is a risky business going to Brahman. Brahmaji says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, what Brahmaji says? Famous verse. Something like Patanti. Yanye arvindaksha vimuktmaninas tvayashta bhavad avishud buddhaya aruya krachena param padam tataha patanti ado anadrita yusmadanangraya. So it says, those who go to the Brahman effulgence, they merge, but there is a risk. Risk is they can patanti adaha, they can fall down from there. Why they fall down? Because they are not accepted. Arvindaksha vimuktmanina. Arvindaksha, the lotus-eyed Lord, they are not understood about him. And then tvai ashta bhavad, they just keep speculating. Avishuddha buddhaya, their buddhi is not got purified yet. So they are just simply speculating something. And then aruya krachena, with a lot of austerity, they go to that stage, that platform. Param padam tata, they think that is the param padam, merging into Brahman. But from there, patanti adaha, they will fall down. Why they will fall down? Because they neglected Yushman Anangraya, the lotus feet of the Lord. So devotee is never interested. Devotee's goal is attaining the loving devotional service of the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is Brahman realization. So the Gyanis, they pursue this path and they can understand the absolute truth as Brahman. But then we understand that that is not the actually absolute truth, is impartial truth. And from there one can fall down also. Devotee consider it as going into the hell. Okay. Then the second is the yogis. Their goal is to attain Paramatma, to realize the Paramatma feature of the Lord who is sitting in the heart. So those who are searching out the absolute truth by meditation, by mystic yogic practices, they can realize the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth. Right? So we understand from the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about the Paramatma also. So Lord is sitting in our heart as Paramatma. Where are the references in Bhagavad Gita? Where does he say? Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto. I am sitting in everyone's heart. That's one. What else? '18th chapter. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hirdeshe Arjuna tishtati. Arjuna, I am sitting in everyone's heart. That is also another reference that Lord is sitting as Paramatma in all the living entities. Okay, one more reference. What the Paramatma does. Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter. Upadrashta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. So Lord is sitting in our heart as Paramatma and He is Upadrashta Anumanta. He is constantly witnessing what we are doing, what we are thinking. And also He is the Anumanta. Anumanta means He is the permitter. So He is the witnesser and is the sanctioner. So this is the Paramatma sitting. So now these yogis, the mystic yogis, they want to realize the Paramatma feature, right, through their meditation process. So they sit in meditation, especially all these Ashtanga yogis and very, very austere practices. Through that meditation, if they attain the perfection, then they will realize they could see the darshan of the Paramatma sitting in the heart. And that is the perfection of their path. But then that is also impartial. It is a partial understanding. It is not like absolute understanding. So in the Brahman effulgence, there is a realization of Sat feature. That okay, I am eternal. God is also, the absolute truth is also eternal. In the Paramatma realization, along with the Sat, there is a Chit feature also, the knowledge. But still something is missing. Ananda is missing. So these yogis, they don't experience the Ananda. What is the destination of yogis? Generally we understand that Gyanis, they can go and merge into Brahman. And the devotees, the bhaktas, they can go to the spiritual world. Either to the Vaikuntha or to the Golok Vrindavan. And there they can remain engaged in the personal service of the Lord. Where does the yogi go? Paramatma realized the yogi. So this is okay, but after that what they will do with this? This. Where he will go? What is his final destination? The Jnanis are going and merging into Brahman. Devotees are going to the spiritual world. Where the yogi will go? Vaikuntha, Satyalok. Okay, so this is interesting to understand that these yogis, they can go to different destinations actually, based on their conception of the absolute truth. So basically, in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the goal of any yogi has been explained as Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Means ultimately their consciousness, the Chitta, the consciousness, should be pacified. Nirodha. So that is their goal. And many of them, they have the impersonal conception. That ultimately my consciousness should be fixed into and then go and merge into the Brahman. So the yogi, those who have different yogis can have the different conception. So first of all, they try to purify their consciousness. That is their goal. Chitta vritti nirodha. When there's no material desires and nothing like that through their meditation, dhyana and all that. So first they purify their consciousness, and then based on their conception, what is their understanding about absolute, they'll go to the destination. So some of them, they think that ultimately that we are purified, no material desires, no material aspirations. So then they go and can merge into the Brahman. So this is the yogis with impersonal conception. However, these yogis can get purified and develop the higher understanding in the association of devotees. So now, some of the yogis, their conception of Paramatma is, see how they understand yogis. They think ultimately the goal is Paramatma. But their understanding is that Paramatma means we have to go and merge into Paramatma. So they will go and merge into Brahman. So they are not understood still that Paramatma is the supreme absolute reality. That they are not understood. They understand the goal is Paramatma. But they are not understanding that that is the ultimate object of our service. Then those people go and merge into Brahman. But with some good fortune, they come in touch with the association of devotees. They start to understand Paramatma is the absolute reality. Then what happens? Gradually, they can go to the Vaikuntha planet. Because they understood now Paramatma is the absolute truth. But even they go to the Vaikuntha, and some of them, they still want to maintain that conception of that passive meditation. They want to still do the meditation. So in the Vaikuntha Lok, with that conception, if they go that we want to do meditation on Paramatma, then those people, they will be there in the Vaikuntha in Shantaras. They'll not be very actively engaged in, in the loving service of the Lord. So like that, there might be a different destination for a yogi based on their conception. So this is Brahmedi and then Paramatmedi. And then finally, the highest, the absolute truth is the realization of the Bhagavan feature of the Lord, which is Satchidananda Vigraha Ishvaraha Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadiradir Govinda Sarvagaran Garanam. So the devotees, they understand that this is what is the highest goal. The Supreme Lord, who is Satchidananda Vigraha, and the purpose and the goal is to engage in the loving devotional service of that Supreme Lord. So like that, this absolute truth can be realized in three different features: Brahmedi, Paramatmedi, Bhagavanedi, Shabdayade. And Prabhupada explains various analogies he uses. Anybody recalls what are the analogies Prabhupada explains to explain this concept? One is sun, sunshine, then sun globe, sun planet, and also sun god as a person, and another. Yeah, Prabhupada uses like the hill. When somebody sees the hill very from the far, so it is green, only you can say green, something green. But then you go close, then you see there's a lot of trees and all of that. And when you actually go on the hill, then you see there is some animals, maybe some people are also there. So like that, Prabhupada uses these examples. Some more examples to understand that. So the same absolute truth, but different aspect of that same absolute truth. So think of this example of gulab jamun. So there's somebody in the kitchen preparing the gulab jamun, and then they make a nice ghee, then you smell, and then you get attracted. Oh, what is this nice smell? So you understand something is being prepared, but you don't know much about that. This is something is nice being prepared. So this is like very limited understanding of just by smell. Then you go in the kitchen and you say, oh, they prepared some gulab jamun. Now you have a little more understanding because you can see now gulab jamun means some balls, brown color, dipped into sugar syrup and all of that. So now you know better gulab jamun. But still you don't know complete gulab jamun unless you taste it. So when you taste it, then you understand, okay, what is gulab jamun. So in the same way, this absolute truth, unless we taste that loving devotional service, then only we understand that what is that absolute truth, right? This is another example, just to explain the same concept is that a child asks the father that I want to see a train. So father takes him to the railway station. He said, now and they're waiting, father and the child, and then suddenly he hears the whistle sound, the train is coming, right? And then this child is very excited and just he little leaned and he said, oh, your train is coming. So what he's seeing, the train is still very far. He's seeing this lights on, some bright light. So, oh, now I know train. Train means something bright object. That is one understanding of train, which is also correct. But it's the impartial understanding, not the complete understanding. Then in the due course, when train comes close on the platform, then he says, oh no, train is something like there's a lot of bogies. So there's like Paramatma understanding, a little bit better. And then finally, when train comes and stops on the platform, then he says there's some people are also, a lot of people are sitting in the train. Now this is a complete understanding. So like that, there is a partial understanding and there is a complete understanding of the absolute truth. So those who know this absolute truth, Tattva Vidas, they say that this knowledge of the Tattva is Advayam, it is Advaya Gyan, and it can be understood in these three different features: Brahmedi, Paramatmedi, Bhagavanedi, Samdhyade. So the highest knowledge of the absolute truth is Bhagavan feature, and in that also to engage in the loving devotional service of the Supreme Lord. And that has been revealed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jivara Swarupoy, Nitya Krishna Das. Right. So engage in the loving devotional service of the Lord, and that is the highest conception of this absolute truth. Like that. So it is very, very complex, though in the scriptures people are not understood this concept. After reading the scriptures, various Upanishads and all of that, people are confused. But here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and by the special blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, these complex subjects are understood so easily. Even like in Hare Krishna, even a child also knows these concepts. Everybody will say, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. It has become like child's play. Wherein all these great Gyanis and Yogis, they are sitting and figuring out what is Brahman, what is Paramatma, how to go there, how to reach there. Very, very difficult and complex process. It's not easy. Like Ashtanga Yogi, Yam Niyam Asana Pranayam Pratyahar Dhyan Dharana Samadhi. So much. Dhyana avasthita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yogino. They have to sit in meditation for a long time, for many, many years, and pratyahara, controlling all the senses, and then meditating and try to focus on the Paramatma. Who can do in this Kali Yuga? Practically no one. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada has given us the process wherein we can also attain the absolute truth in such a blissful manner. Susukham kartum avyayam. Happily, joyfully doing. Every morning get up, sing, dance, eat nice prasadam, read some nice katha, some nice stories, discuss, do some seva. And it is such a blissful process. And by this wonderful process, we can attain the highest perfection of this absolute truth. So this is what is the Krishna consciousness is offering to the whole world. And as Prabhupada urges that everyone should come and take this process of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada says again and again that the government should support this Krishna consciousness and everybody should support this program. If people really genuinely want to be happy in this world, then they should support and take this process seriously. So this is what the Krishna consciousness is offering. So here we understand that absolute truth is Advaya Gyan, non-dual substance, and that can be understood in three different features. Okay. So we can stop with this unless anybody has any question or any comment. Anybody wants to say something, ask something. Yes, bro.
Clarification regarding this yogi's destination. So far I understood, Prabhu, that yogis, they also have two categories. Those who are having their consciousness conception that Supreme Absolute is Paramatma and we have to merge into them.
Yeah, so yogis can have a different conception. So their goal is Paramatma, but how they understand the Paramatma may differ. So one category of people, they might think that Paramatma means ultimately we have to go and merge into Paramatma. That might be their understanding. Then they'll end up going to this Brahman effulgence. Wherein there's another category of yogis, those who understood that Paramatma is the ultimate object of service. So then they surrender. But it's still that yogi, this thing is still there. They want to maintain that passive meditation. So they are eligible to go to the Vaikuntha, but because they still want to be in the meditation, then they can remain in Vaikuntha in Shantaras. So like that, there can be different destination. And even further with the devotee association, they can further progress and they can engage actually in the devotional service of the Lord. They have to give up that meditation aspect of it and start engaging in the practical devotional service.
Still confusion. Most of the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj in 6th chapter, 7th canto or 7th chapter, we see that he is meditating on Paramatma. But his ultimate aim is,
Prahlad Maharaj is meditating on Paramatma, that is what you are saying?
yeah, most of the teachings what he is giving.
No, Prahlad Maharaj is a devotee, great devotee, and that is a well established truth from the 7th canto. He is completely surrendered to the Lord. He sees everywhere. Yo mam pashyanti sarvata mam pashyati. When Hiranyakashipu asked, where is your God? Where is your Narayan? Prahlad Maharaj was like, where he is not?
Lord Ishvara Sarvabhutana.
No, but see when you, so basically, okay, you are saying that, oh, it's like more of like all pervading aspect the devotee is seeing. So Prabhupada also used this example. When somebody had the 100 rupees note, then everything is included in that. 10 is also included, 50 is also included. So when somebody is already and the Bhagavan realized, then he is automatically becomes Brahman realized and Paramatma realized. So yes, devotee sees Sthavar Jangam dekhe na dekhe Tara Murti Sarvatra Nisdega Swamaya Spurti. So he sees everywhere in the Lord, it's Lord's creation, Lord's intervention. So that concept is always there. But he understands that who is the Lord? He knows very well. My Lord is Krishna, is the Supreme Lord. So devotee has that understanding. Wherein this impersonalist, the Gyanis, they don't have that personal conception of the Lord. So everything is idam kalu, idam, what is that? Sarvam kalu idam Brahma. And everything is coming from the Brahman. Ultimately everything is Brahman only. So there is no personal conception. That is where they lack. Okay. So let's stop with this. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.